Hi.
Hey, I'm Jack.
Hey, I'm Mark.
Yes, and this is the podcast again. Dwindling
Welcome
podcast.
back. Dwindling podcast. Is that what we're called now? The Dwindling podcast with Mark and Jack?
Yeah, pretty much. Like, watch our views go down as the world goes down.
Yeah, exactly. The only thing that's dwindling is our positivity and our
Yeah,
optimism.
it's pretty shit.
Yeah.
But
But what
yeah,
can we say? The state of 2020 is just, as bad as our career choices.
it's all round, yeah, bad, like, and misjudged. It's terrible.
I say that as if like working in a reserve paradise is a bad thing. Like it's
I like,
absolutely
I
beautiful
like
and
the Jonathan
uplifting.
Ross there, the Reserve. It's pretty good,
Reserve.
pretty good pronunciation.
Nailed it, man. I didn't take English lit for nothing.
Yeah. But like, yeah, pretty much the world's on fire at the moment. So
Yep.
we've obviously got to address it. Like
Yeah.
our hands been
It'd
forced.
be it'd be difficult to just talk around. I mean, especially when the tone of the movement that's going on right now is that people are too ambivalent to the cause that's been going on, and that's the reason why it's lasted so long, right?
Yeah,
It's
um,
because people keep turning another cheek or letting like accidents like this slip by,
it's
and everyone's
short-term
just fed
memory,
up
isn't
now.
it? It's like people just forget about it.
It is.
Like it is funny though.
Mhm.
Like just to sidetrack slightly, is that I was like, oh, last week's podcast was really like down tone. It was really depressive. I was like, this week we'll make a better one, like really upbeat one. And then nope, that ain't gonna happen. I'm sorry if you're listening
I
now.
like it because our post podcast notes when something like, okay, well, I was trying to lift it up, but I was such a downer, like it couldn't be saved. Like the Titanic was sinking, and you just like playing the violin. You're
Yeah,
like, we're good. Let's just go
it's like
down.
let's just
It's
carry
fine.
on, man.
Yeah,
But yeah,
take it to a place.
obviously, if unless you've been living under a rock, we're talking about the Black Lives Matter
Hmm.
protests and I guess riots in America, and somehow they've crept over to our borders now as well. So people are protesting in our
Yeah,
country, UK. So yeah,
absolutely haunting, isn't
it
it?
is.
Like,
It's something that, as I said before, kind of I guess needed to happen. Like
yeah,
people
it did.
can't stand this anymore. Like it's ridiculous. Like the amount of like I guess injustices that have been happening over and
Mm.
over and over and over again with the police force in America, like
Hmm.
being shoot first, like ask questions later, sort of thing. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, and just like the blatant prejudice, I guess. So it's something that,
yeah.
like I said before, has been, I guess, have had to have happened because there's only so many times you can play like the citizen for a fool. But
Mm.
I don't know. Like it depends. Like the way that it's happening at the moment is obviously a lot of people are rioting and smashing
Yeah,
stuff up and that, which is fine. But the looting, some people are looting some. I guess I don't know if you want
yeah.
to call them like bad apples or something, are like looting some businesses that I guess don't deserve it. Um, but
Hmm.
again, you're always gonna get like the negative ones that are gonna like overshadow the
Yeah.
positives of the actual message, which is the problem.
Exactly. It's like the course is really good, and whenever you get a course like that, you always got like hundreds of people packed in, just fighting for this one ideal or objective. And amongst that crowd, there was always, yeah, as you said, like the bad seeds. There's always like those 10 people with malicious intent who
Yeah,
who use rioting just for looting, just to like gain material wealth, or just an outlet for their vicious mindset, depending on who they are.
yeah,
And briefly, we were talking as well about like the people who are affected, like, but when you riot or you loot, you really got to pick where you loot from, because some of the time you're not even looting from the government, or but when you attack privately owned businesses, you're destroying families, or like like someone who's built this building themselves, or like they
yeah.
own like their a privately owned meat market. If you steal from them, you're just taking money out of the people's pocket. You're not actually
Yeah,
affecting the government or
like
any at any point.
I've seen a couple of good like messages before, like some good pictures on there. That like there was one like where like a king is sort of looking down on his kingdom, and like
Yeah, yeah,
there's
yeah,
there's a riot happening, and there's someone saying "fuck the king" and all that stuff, and they're smashing all the properties, and then like he's just watching from his walls, like drinking champagne. It's just like it's
yeah.
kind of like that, like where you know there are these people that hate the government and stuff like that, and hate what's the police force or what's going on, but for some reason attacking
Hmm.
businesses. But like
Yeah, exactly.
which
Yeah,
is
it's
which
like,
is
who are you
dumb,
harming here?
but like
Yeah,
you have got the other side of it where they're attacking like the White House, like
yeah,
it's
which makes
but
sense.
then
That makes
again like
sense.
it's not like they're trying to do a peaceful, like the majority of them are trying to do a peaceful protest,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's where that's the direction they should take, isn't it? Like
Yeah, I mean,
to resolve things peacefully,
obviously
as opposed
it's a
to
terrible situation. Some man has been killed,
yeah,
and loads of other people have been killed. Quite frankly, like even before this, it was like I think a couple of months ago before he died.
yeah.
There was another person who got another black woman who got murdered like by the police
Mm,
force. So it's like it happens quite often, I guess. But at the same
yeah,
time, like I don't know like if the escalation is gonna. For me, I think it's going to feed into the narrative that the government's going to try and spin, which is that they're aggressive and they should be dealt with, which is a
yeah,
problem.
exactly.
Like I don't know if that's gonna help the whole
Yeah.
situation.
Actually, as you said, this is definitely an issue they should confront because, the police are, that's where our taxpayer money goes to. It goes to affording these services that are there to protect us, not to harm us.
Yeah,
We shouldn't fear the people who are out there trying to keep the peace in society. Like they shouldn't be the source of sorry about that, destabilization, in the public.
yeah,
Like you shouldn't have to walk around and be afraid of the people who you pay to protect as well. Like it's crazy to think like you're paying tax for someone who could potentially kill a relative of yours or something like that.
yeah.
So it's
And
haunting.
like the problem is as well, what we've seen as well is the police when they go to someone they pull their gun out straight away. Like especially if they see a black
Mhm.
person, they pull their gun out, and it's just like it's just something that needs to be reformed and changed. Like
Yeah.
someone told me a really good analogy of like that someone else said, a celebrity said that it was like you can't just have like a few bad apples in like a pilot. As a pilot, you can't just have a few bad apples
Mhm.
because a plane will crash. Like it's the same thing as a police force. You can't just have a few bad apples and go, oh yeah, well that's just what's going to happen. Like it's
Yeah.
dumb. Like
That
it should be none at all.
yeah. I agree. That is a profession where I'm not saying you should be infallible, but you should be really fucking close because
Yeah.
those are the people you're depending on. So
Hmm.
it's really crazy to think that a police officer can commit a crime and then there would be no major repercussion.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't make any sense when you
Like
think about it.
I've seen like a lot of signs in the protests as well. It's like who do you call when the police are the murderers and stuff like that. It was just
Yeah,
exactly true. Like
yeah.
what do you
I'll
do?
say like the funniest one was like the reason why you don't like the reason why I can't remember. Give me a second. It has something to do with Miley Cyrus and
It sounds
I think you know the
extraordinary.
one, and Hannah Montana being in the same room, and they equated that to the reason why you don't see the police and the KKK.
Oh,
It's like
okay,
that.
in the same room,
Like
right?
stop. Yeah, the reason why you don't see the police stop the KKK is because you don't see Hannah. It's the same reason why you don't see Hannah Montana
And
and
Miley Cyrus, yeah.
Miley Cyrus in the same room. Yeah, I butchered it, but it's there. I got
Yeah,
there in the end.
I see what you mean. Yeah, like the problem,
Yeah,
like I've seen a lot of people say like all police are bad and stuff like that, and then
yeah,
on the same things, them saying that people should have done more, like the police force should have done more and stuff like that, which I think I do agree with. I guess like I think all of them should have done something, and especially now that it's happened, the problem is
mm,
it's coming across now as like a cult, the police force, which is
yeah,
which is the wrong way it should be going. Like, there's no one inside the police force saying, "Hey, this is a real bad fucking thing." Like,
yeah,
we
yeah,
fucked up, and we should be held accountable, and we should do this because of it. Instead, what they're doing is like anyone who fucking says anything bad about the police force who is a police officer is getting fired and losing their
yeah,
pension. And it's like, what? That's just a cult. Like, do you know what I
yeah,
mean? Like,
yeah, yeah.
you're now treating this like a weird like secret organization.
It almost sounds like a coup, like they're taking over.
Yeah.
Like it's yeah. I
I
don't
don't
know.
know. Like, and I said to you earlier today that a lot of people like to I like to blame Trump for this whole situation, but this was a
Yeah,
situation that was going on for way longer. Like that, this was deep rooted in American society
yeah,
way before Trump. Like he may escalate it,
yeah.
but
Hmm.
he's probably the first, like, I guess, truthful president in the fact that he's kind of openly racist, which
Yeah.
is terrible. But like
It's scary to think.
all the other ones just
Yeah,
get
like
behind it and just like, oh, we're not racist, and then still let the police brutality happen. Like,
yeah. It's weird to think of like America as a country and like how large of a U-turn they took since Obama.
yeah,
You had a government who's like openly like welcoming and like was trying to repair some of the damages done over a long period of time, trying to bring people together. You
mm,
completely swap that to a government who's divided their country, like turned everyone on race and like beliefs and stuff like that. And it's just been like a downturn in chaos since there. Like, yeah, he's probably not the major source of the issue, but he was part of the problem
of
for a
course,
while.
yeah. Like, but
Yeah,
like this has been something that's been going on ever since Abraham Lincoln. Like, it's not like
yeah,
America's been polarized since the beginning. It's not like something that's just suddenly come out of the blue because of Trump.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. Yeah,
if anything,
that's
all
true.
he's done is he's now rallied the racists to his side, and he's probably going to win a fucking again. Like when it comes to
Yeah.
like the vote again, because
More of the Vox Populi take over, Jack.
I
Voice of
mean,
the people.
I would love for
I'm
that to
joking.
happen, but like the problem is, I think in America there's more racists than there are not.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
Unfortunately, like the middle states, like the states that aren't coastal, I know they get way more racist and way more dangerous
like
depending on your
the country
ethnicity.
was fucking founded on killing natives. Like
Yeah, and
I don't know if you can say that they're not racist. You know,
yeah, invaded the land, took their
which
territory.
was I think the British anyway. But you know, like
Yeah, we don't talk about that, bro.
yeah, we don't talk
We
about
don't
that
mention
part.
it.
They're not British anymore.
I mean, we were talking about sort of like the issues like here. I know that they're nowhere near as rampant, so there should
I
definitely
don't
be
think
no
so, no.
rioting.
But
Protesting makes sense, but rioting's a bit extreme here.
I've
Um,
heard like some of the protests where they've been attacking police officers and stuff like in this country,
yeah,
which is like I don't think it's right. I don't think you should be attacking them like
yeah.
when they're not the one
Also,
that's being.
when you attack an officer, like
It is illegal.
100%. Yeah, I mean, it's not only illegal, but like, are you attacking the right officer? Like, I want to know if people think about that.
Mm.
Like, what if this officer's been trying to work for, like for Black lives his entire life? You got some people who join
Yeah,
the force who are out there trying to like stabilize the condition, trying to make the police a better place. Trying to make the world a better place. So, like, what if you attack the wrong guy? Like, what's the chances you're attacking someone who isn't racist and someone who
yeah.
actually is a hardworking professional? Like, I understand if they've marked this guy who's actually a dickhead and who's actually like harm people, but you never know if you're getting the right guy.
Well, this is the thing.
So
Like, it's kind of ironic
it's
because like the same people that are going all police officers are bad. It's in the same vein
yeah,
as saying all black people are bad. You know,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
like
yeah.
yeah, okay, like a lot of them are bad, but like to say all of them are bad just because of their job is kind of strange. But at the same
It's the
time,
same problem but in reverse, isn't it?
yeah,
You know?
and at the same time, like there's definitely racism. Of course, racism exists. Like no one's saying it's not.
Yeah. Hmm.
In this country, like it definitely exists, but it's not as bad as America, I don't think. Um,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
and what I was thinking about the other day was that like the problem is this gathering or this mass gathering is one
yeah,
illegal because quarantine. You're not
yeah,
supposed to be
yeah,
like
yeah.
I think in Hyde Park there was thousands of people all gathered there,
Mm,
which is breaking quarantine. That's exactly what we said like we shouldn't be doing at the moment of a pandemic, right?
yeah, yeah,
But they also have the right to protest. So
yeah.
I guess what I was going to ask you, which is going to kind of throw you under the bus because you're the one that has to give an opinion,
Yeah.
but is like, which one do you think supersedes the other? Like the right to protest, or like the fact that they shouldn't be gathered right now because of a pandemic?
Yeah. It's such a like difficult thing to argue based
Yeah.
on like the moral principle. It's like I can imagine staying at home and like absolutely seething because you can't go outdoors and like fight for your rights. Like
Mhm.
we're put in a position where the best thing you can do is really stay home just to protect other people's lives. And easily not everyone's going to adhere to that. People are definitely going to flood the streets, and like fight for what's right. And by all means, that's not even a bad choice to be making, but it will be at the cost of lives. And that's the sad thing to think about is that
Yeah.
if the virus is going to spread, like by all means, there is still not a vaccine for it. The numbers will continue to rise, and you get a congregation of people in anywhere for any situation right now. You're definitely going to pass the disease to like a handful of people. Like it'll definitely get around. So it's kind of a tough choice. Like
Yeah.
even us, like we've got close friends who you can imagine they would riot. And if two of our specific friends asked us to come out and protest with them, not riot, sorry, protest with them,
Yeah.
we would be there in a heartbeat.
I
We,
would
we wouldn't
absolutely.
even
Yeah.
say, and they don't even need to ask. If they go, I'm going here and they need some support, we would definitely go, no questions asked, we would do it. Like, would we be thinking about the virus the entire time? Yeah, and like maybe we can take precautions and social distance, but that's only so far that can
Well, that's
go.
the thing.
I'm
Like,
curious as to what you're thinking,
well,
because
yeah, because
it's
like
it's a tough
obviously
one.
like I try to look at this from like a logical perspective. Like at the same time, like one,
Yeah,
I don't think protesting in this country is going to do anything for America.
yeah,
I think
yeah,
I think some people will see it and go, yeah, that's really good that they stand with us and that. But I don't think it's actually going to do specifically anything, like
yeah,
rather like that. At the same time, let's say that you got 1,000 people, and
yeah.
5 people of those people have corona and don't know it yet, it's now spread to all
Hmm.
of them.
Yeah,
Like it
exactly.
spreads
And
so fast.
That's the sad thing to think about. Is like they're out there fighting for their rights, but then the virus could spread to their families. Now people are dying because of it, and it's like
Yeah.
it's just a double tragedy. Like now, of course, like I think they should be able to protest. It's just like sad to think like of the humane cost to it, I guess,
I mean, that's the thing. It's
which
like
is the
it's like
spreading.
trying to strike while the iron's hot, sort of thing. Like this is an issue
Yeah,
at the moment that needs to be addressed, so people are going to try and address it. But
exactly. Because like I understand like any amount of racism is too much
of
racism. I
course, yeah.
understand. Like I get that 100%. I think we both do. Like
Hmm.
it really shouldn't persist, and especially in a first world country in 2020. And I think at the beginning of this whole coronavirus issue, me and you wanted the world to finally find a place to unify. To
Yeah.
understand that we're all just biologically human, and there is no actual disparity in race. Like we have a mortal enemy now that is actually killing us. And I was hoping to a certain degree, like the focus on that enemy being the virus would actually bring people together, as it's done, like people cheering from the windows, like for the NHS,
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
like being supportive neighbors and stuff like that. I was really hoping we were finally taking steps in the right direction. So it's absolutely horrifying that something like this has come out of the back of
Yeah.
it.
And we've heard from a couple of friends that like they're starting to get a bit panicky, I guess, about it, like what's
Yeah,
happening in like in America and that.
yeah, yeah.
Which is I think is like it's understandable. Obviously, like what's going on is something that directly affects them. Um,
Yeah.
I think a lot of the things that are being said right now are like it's like harsh, I guess, because they need to be harsh.
Mm,
Um,
yeah,
but like a lot of the time, I think it's like if you're a white person right now, I'd say like probably be careful a little bit about what you say,
yeah.
like especially with that ignorance and because
Be delicate, right?
I
You
think
know,
that, that
be
my only issue is there are some people out there who are so passionate about this that they don't let discussions happen. So
yeah,
if somebody was to go over to them and say, well, why should this happen? They would bite their hand off, like and
yeah,
I don't. That's not obviously not the right way, but
mm,
at the same time, I can completely understand why they like that. Um,
yeah,
because this is something that's like a real fucking big issue, and it's something that's been going on in America for like centuries even. So
yeah,
it,
yeah.
it's kind of like along the same argument of like you know I remember there was a movie actually back in the day. I think it was like in the 40s, and it was a movie about
Hmm.
there was a little like it was set during slavery times.
Yeah,
And there was a little black kid who was speaking to an older white gentleman, right? And like he was
yeah,
like this proper gentleman, like in a suit and three-piece suit sort of thing.
mm,
And he said to him like, what's wrong? And he basically went along the line of like, would you rather live to your 80 with, no money, or would you rather
yeah.
live to 40 but as a black person? And then
Oh,
straight
okay.
away, like you knew what he would pick, like, and it sort of fades to black from that point. It's trying to show
Yeah,
that like it's literally just like especially in America in that day and age, it was like you would rather
mm,
have a short life, or sorry, you'd rather have a long life with no money than have
yeah,
like the other way around, I guess. So it's like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's yeah, it's definitely difficult with that sort of thing of
Yeah, as soon as you answer that question, you understand that there's an underlying issue.
yeah,
Yeah,
as
I get it.
asking anyone
I
that
cannot
question.
agree with you and like I cannot agree with you more about that whole topic about that there's a right way to approach these situations, and you're going to get people who are definitely going to get angry, and like it's a trying time,
Yeah,
and they're very passionate about it, and you have to just understand. I think one of the best analogies, like, and I hope you can like re-explain it, is the analogy about the burning house. Like
oh
that
yeah,
one you said to me really just connected
I
to
saw
me on like a really strong level.
I saw it on a friend's like Instagram feed about talking about how basically trying to explain when when people used to go, oh, all lives matter instead of saying Black Lives
Hmm.
Matter, like it was basically an analogy about that, about having two houses and saying, well, all houses matter, not just this one, but one of them's actually on fire. um,
Yeah.
and there's the person standing next to him saying like, well, my house matters too, and the other guy's going, yeah,
Mm.
it absolutely does, but mine's on fire at the moment. Like,
Yeah.
and I think that one it proper like resonates with what's going on at the moment. It's like whenever someone says Black Lives Matter, then nobody is saying that Black lives are more superior to other lives. They're just saying
Yeah.
that at the moment one requires so much more attention because of what's going on.
Exactly. Yeah.
And
It's like
yeah,
yeah, like me and you definitely understand because we we come from mixed heritages. You come from like Iran, I come from like Philippines.
Yeah,
Like Asians and Asians in general have been victimized in the past, but our house isn't burning right now.
yeah.
And the, there is definitely a place where our focus and our attention and our thoughts
That's the
should have
perfect way to
definitely
put
be
it.
going to.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
right now, like during 9/11 and that, it
Mhm.
was the Arab countries and the Middle Eastern countries like Iran and that were getting persecuted, and that at that
Exactly.
time the house was on fire, and people
Mhm.
did come together for them as well. Same as like when the wall was saying, oh, Trump's going to build a wall. Mexicans' houses was on fire, and people addressed that. Right now,
Yeah.
this house is now on massive fire, but way bigger than any of the other ones at the moment. So like,
Yeah. Exactly.
it's not saying that it's superior to the others or that they don't matter. It's just right now one
Yeah.
requires a bit more attention.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think
And
it sums up really well that little analogy thing.
yeah. Honestly, the burning house one, like that's definitely the best way anyone's put it. Like when you said that to me, I was like, man, that's just makes so much sense. Like,
Yeah,
definitely gonna use that one
yeah.
if that topic ever comes up in the park or something, you know?
It's definitely like
Um,
something I do wanna talk to more people who are more extreme, I guess, on the other
get
side
their
of it,
opinions, right?
and talk to them,
Yeah.
and if they're open to discussion and talk about it, because I'm not there for an argument, but it is also like I do want to see if they're not only do I want to see it from their point of view, but I want to see if they can see it
Mm.
from other people's point of view as well.
Yeah.
And it's just
It's
a
like
genuine
if it's something you feel
discussion.
passionate about, I think me and you can both agree that it's always worth hearing it out before you give your rebuttal.
Yeah,
Just on, to a certain degree, it allows you to grow and allows you to see a different perspective to something you've already got an opinion on, you know?
yeah,
I
definitely.
think we've seen it plenty of times where people will just fight you before they've even heard you out, and that's definitely the worst way to learn a lesson. You're
Yeah,
going to pay less of attention if someone's being offensive or aggressive.
I think the problem
So,
is like if somebody is looking at somebody and saying, well, he's white, so my whole like he's gonna have an
yeah,
agenda, and my whole thing is to put him down or put her down because
yeah,
they're ignorant, is the wrong way
hmm
to approach it. If
yeah.
like you
That's
if you're standing there and subconscious, or not even that, but just consciously thinking this person doesn't get it, he doesn't understand the hard shit that I've been through and stuff like that. It's just the wrong way to
yeah,
approach anything in life in general.
exactly. Like what you need to focus on in a situation like that is like you have a potential ally here.
Yeah,
In a world that's very cruel and mean, you have someone who's like whose thoughts are going to you and whose attention is there and they're willing to help you. Like it's a
because
really bad idea to push people away
yeah,
just based on assumption because then the problem it just grows a little bit larger, like the gap gets
because
a bit wider.
I've heard some people saying like, you know, you're white, you should use your white privilege to help us, and I'm not entirely sure what that means.
Mm,
Maybe I'm like being stupid here, but like, because again, I'm not American, so I have no idea
yeah.
what that means. But I'm not sure if what they're trying to imply in that way. I don't know, but
Mm,
it's a strange one for me
that
because like I've also
is
heard
a
some
strange
people
one.
say, why are the white people out protesting when it's about Black lives? But then on the
Yeah,
same vein, I've heard them saying, well, they're not doing enough. So I'm not really sure
yeah,
what they're
exactly.
supposed to do.
That one's kind of like weird, isn't it? When people are like, why is someone of a different ethnicity trying to help us out? They're
Yeah,
trying to help, and
I don't,
that's what's
I
important.
don't think people go around like, at least not from my experience. I don't think people go around going, "I've got a white privilege. I'm going to go out and get a job today." Like,
Yeah.
it's something. A white privilege seems to be something that other people or other people have that it's ingrained in them from a childhood.
Mm,
Like, I don't think that somebody uses it as like a subway card. Like, do you know what I mean? I don't think it's like a.
yeah.
It's not
It's not
like it's
intentional,
not like
isn't
a
it?
ticket. Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
it's unconscious bias is what it is. So I don't think it's like
Mhm.
anything that someone could use as a token of trying to help this situation. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
at
Yeah.
the same time, I've also heard in the same vein of people saying, because you're white, you should donate to these charities because you have more money. And I also don't agree with that. Like,
Mm.
I at the moment have like way less money than most people
Me,
because
me and you are, we're borderline of charity.
yeah, like
So, to be honest,
we've got shagged over in our contracts, and we're getting way less money
absolutely.
than most people right now.
Yeah.
I barely have enough
Exactly.
to buy food and pay rent, so
Yeah.
it's not.
Just to stay afloat.
But again, I'm not white. I'm half white, so who knows?
Exactly. Yeah.
But this doesn't stop me from being called white multiple times.
Yeah. That as one of our friends would put it, that oil money isn't secure enough. Like that oil blood is bringing you down, man.
Yeah, I mean, even when we briefly well, I say briefly, it was a month, but when we went to Philippines, Like
Yeah.
you was considered white in your own country
Yep.
because you're half white.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And it's it's strange because you're in a third world country and you see the poverty and you see like the problems underlining in these countries.
Yeah.
Just there are definitely issues in other places of the world, but it's still not an excuse to let racism and stuff like this
No.
get away.
I mean,
It
yeah.
shouldn't be a distraction
That's somewhere that you can
from the
definitely
actual
use white
cause.
privilege. Like
Oh
Philippines
yeah,
is
100%.
100% somewhere. Like that's not even like subconscious racism. That's racism on the face of it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
If you know they
When you get rebels coming down from the mountains, you got people afraid for their livelihood, their
yeah
families. It's a terrible
that's
situation.
somewhere where like if you're white you're automatically seen as better in that country, which
Yep,
is crazy.
exactly. Yeah, especially when we went down there, we're not particularly rich, but we were assumed to be so just because you get a lot of American
Yeah,
tourists who do have quite a bit of money,
and like
and they
that's
come from their different
if
backgrounds.
America doesn't have these like sort of like air quotation revolutions, that's where they're headed. Like
Yep,
that sort
yeah,
of
yeah.
like that sort of society where it's not even like a joke anymore. So
Yeah, 100% they need change. Like that's one thing that everyone can see from a mile off. Like
hmm
things can't just keep staying like this. The school shootings, the
oh
police
man,
system,
yeah,
everything. Like they need to have like
change.
a way out, I guess. Yeah, exactly.
Mark for president.
They can't keep this going. Please vote for me. I will bring noodles to the world, and that's how you unify people.
But yeah, the last thing we'll talk
Just loads
about,
of cup ramen.
because we're on like 26 minutes now,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
is I guess like the new coronavirus stuff, like because
Hmm.
it's something we still have to address because it's still going on. It doesn't go away for
Yeah.
some reason. But yeah, like apparently now it's mandatory to wear face coverings slash face masks on the buses and public transport now.
Amazing.
It's amazing, but
Such a good
my
idea.
God, we're 2.5 months into this and they've only just done that. Insane.
So honestly, like, so how's it like in other European countries? Like, are they ahead of us in that regard? Like,
I mean, they're ahead of us in terms of like doing a better job in their country. Yeah. Like
yeah,
I think the
100%. Yeah,
figure
I
I
can see that.
saw like recently was like I think the whole of Europe combined had the same amount of deaths as the UK or something like that.
Wow.
Like
Wow, that's
um,
insane.
in the last couple of days, which is yeah insane. Like
Yeah,
well, because we're not doing
it
enough
doesn't make any
as a
sense.
country.
Yeah.
But
You told me recently that Boris Johnson's like polls went up because he allowed us to
to go out,
go out and
yeah.
social distance. How do you find that? What do you think about that?
I mean, it's
Because
politics in a
it's
nutshell,
not.
isn't it? It's scummy. That's just what they're
Yeah,
doing. I
exactly.
mean, to link it back to the Black Lives Matter thing, he hasn't even publicly condemned Donald Trump yet. So
Wow.
it's like he's so thinking about his like approval rating that he doesn't actually
Exactly.
do anything right at the moment,
Yeah.
which is
Because
amazing.
if he condemns what's going on like with Donald Trump and like America,
Yeah, they'll get pissed
like
off. They'll cut ties. They'll stop doing
exactly.
economic trade. Like, I've been seeing shit that's crazy. By the way, I've been seeing that apparently we've been supplying rubber bullets and riot shields to the police in America,
Wow.
which is fucked up.
Wow, that makes me feel scummy.
Yeah,
That's where my tax-paying money is going to.
they're
Do you know
making
how bad that
that's
feels?
them making trade deals with America. That's what they because obviously that's what they need at the moment. So that's
You know what sucks is like, if you let if you let the public vote on whether or not that should be a thing we're doing, like we
oh
would
yeah.
definitely vote no. Like the
Guess
public would be like,
guess
let's
what,
not
Mark?
supply violence.
There's a petition to stop it though.
Oh my
You
God,
know
fuck's sake.
the brilliant petitions that always get stuff done in this country.
Yeah, if you're wondering why I'm polarized, me and Jack talk about this all the time. Petitions, man. How many have we signed since, the beginning of time? We've signed almost every petition there ever was to stop Brexit. Every
Yeah.
petition there ever was about anything important, we would sign it. They really do nothing. They get brought up in Parliament. You can tell
Yeah,
this part
they
'cause
just
it's
get
fucking horrifying.
it's like the for example the Brexit one reached a certain amount of signatures, so it has to be brought up in Parliament. They brought it up in Parliament and they were like, yeah, it's not going to happen, and that was it.
Yeah,
It lasted about 10
that is a
seconds.
crime. The voice of the people has spoken. They really don't
Dude,
care. There needs to be a
if you
change.
keep speaking like that, this podcast is going to be put on a list, like sort of
We're probably ready.
Revolution Communist Party or something. It's going to be put on a list. Uh,
The bright note here is everyone should vote. I don't know if that's a bright note or not, but everyone should
that
really be
Mark's
voting if they're
closing
not already.
statement. Everyone should vote.
Please vote.
I don't think we even.
That's how we get to 1984. If you don't vote, 1984, that's our future.
Well, we'll see. But
Don't ask. You'll come
just
in.
to wrap that up, like that's pretty much the end. But I'm gonna put some links in the description for charities to donate for Black Lives Matter and stuff like that. So if anyone wants to, anyone who has money, like wants to donate to that sort of stuff, like I'll put the links in the
Yeah.
descriptions and you guys can
Definitely do so.
you can if you have a more disposable income. But yeah,
And we have
thanks.
been the strangest of origins.
Yeah, so hopefully
It's been a
next week
pleasure.
will be a lot more brighter.
Yeah, focus, Briar. We has to be. Come on, 2020, make nothing happen this
Yeah,
week so that we get
either
some
that
peace,
or
please.
this will be the Revolution podcast. So we'll see you then.
Yeah.
See you guys.
Red Scars out. Bye bye.